I am.
Hello, hello,
Hello.
hello. I'm going to get the admin open so I can see what everybody's doing. And I think I'm going to go ahead and kind of reorganize my slide deck, guys, so I have the visuals if I need them. We did that last week and it was pretty effective. So I'm going to organize my slide deck so we have the visuals, and then I'm going to get into my admin so I can see your questions, and Melissa will start getting those organized. And let's use the same system we did last week. One question per person, kind of rotating through, and just the same stuff we did. It worked pretty well.
Awesome.
And then we have a hard stop today, Melissa, right, at 2:45. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
2:45. We have a hard stop
Okay.
today. So
hard stop, 2:45.
As many questions. Yeah, as many questions as possible. But if we don't get to yours today, there is just something that we have to stop at 2:45.
Yeah. And we've been usually knocking them out. So just, Melissa, make sure we don't get off topic. You know, I know some people have very specific stuff related to their product. Make sure that we just don't do any of that until the very end, because we need to stay with the questions that are relevant to the whole group. And then any questions that are left on the trail, why don't you put those in a special sheet like you do so that we can address them on Thursday?
Okay, great idea. And you guys are submitting some great stuff today. It looks like I've got about 35 queued up for you right now, Cherie.
All right, here we go. Let's rock and roll. Okay, I'm going to need to set up this admin. So give me 1 second before we start going.
Not a problem. And remember, guys, if you have little, quick, short questions, it's a lot easier for us to get to those right away. If you ask just little, short, one-line questions, those are awesome. I know a lot of you guys have some detail to what you're wondering, but if there is a way to shorten it down and summarize it so that maybe it can apply to the whole class, that would be the best way to get your question answered as quickly as possible.
All right. Here we go. Okay, guys, there we go. So I had to restart my computer to make my audio right for this class at the beginning. So I lost my admin. So now I'm ready to go.
All right. Just a couple more that are coming in right now. I just don't want to miss anybody.
I know, so many good questions.
Hello, Peggy, and Carolina's here, and Smile's here.
I love to see everybody. Hello, everyone. Hi, Carolina. Hi, Smile. Hi, Nits. It's so good to see everybody.
Awesome. Okay, so Andrea's got the first question here. We're going to go with Andrea. If mid-tail keywords are just the singular version of short-tail, high-volume keywords that are plural, and they have an ACOS that is unimaginable between 100 and 300%, what then is the strategy? Only long-tail keywords that happen to be falling 10K under in broad search?
Well, I would say if you have 100% ACOS across your targeted keywords that really describe your product, specifically, like I'm selling skinny jeans, and my keywords describe skinny jeans, right? I'm going to kind of stop here. So if I have a keyword here like skinny jeans that I know describes my product, and my ACOS is 100% on a lot of different variations, then you probably need to get back to your product listing and optimize your page, because Amazon is just like any other traffic source, Facebook, Google. It's all about the page that people land on. So you may have some type of disconnect there, because it sounds like you might have a conversion issue. When you get too many keywords that aren't converting and everything is coming in at high ACOS, you most likely have a conversion issue.
And when you're going through your STR, Cherie, do you mean 5+ orders per 10 clicks, or do you mean 5+ orders for that keyword?
If I'm in the STR, let's go ahead and look at this. Let me see. I'm just going to bounce around until I get it. STR, where are you? There you go. Okay. So obviously my STR keywords that have a lot of sales are the ones that I'm mining, right? I'm really looking for ones with significant orders like you see here in the sheet. So I have about 2,900 clicks on these. I understand that when you're down in the 5+ orders, you may have far less clicks. You really will. I don't have the data right here, but they go down considerably, as you can see in this row G. But yeah, so I'm saying you're going to pause keywords that have 0 sales and 10 clicks. And you're going to pause keywords that have 1 sale and 10 plus clicks and crazy ACOS, right? In those thresholds that I outlined. So when you're 5 plus orders, you're just looking for the keywords that have 5 plus orders and a good ACOS.
Okay, awesome. Let's see here. I'm going to pick one right off the top here. I have several ASINs that are child variations, and the top seller is within target ACOS and at 20 sales per day. And it's in second place, and it's all, or the second one, I'm sorry, the second one is also within target ACOS, but at 10 sales per day. So 2 child variations, one at 20 sales per day with target ACOS. Second is also within target ACOS, but at 10 sales per day. Why would you pause that to lose that traffic?
Well, are you bidding on the same keywords? I mean, if you're bringing the same keywords to both products, okay, how can I explain? If you're bringing the same keywords to both products and one of them is converting 20 sales and one of them is converting 10, if you were to reduce the friction and make sure that all the clicks went to the one that converts higher, you'd probably see higher sales overall. You would concede that variation of 10, but then the one that can actually convert the traffic better would click better, rank better, perform better. People would still self-select on the page and buy that second variation, but you would be funneling the keywords to the product that will have the highest performance on the page. So strategically, because again, if you put double keywords in, Amazon's going to choose which ones they show, which products they show kind of randomly. So you're not necessarily always taking your best seller to market. If you're saying to the algorithm, oh, take the best seller or the second one, I don't care, because that's what you got to do. You won't get both. So I like to say, take the best seller, take the best seller, take the best seller, because it's fiercely competitive and I want to win. But, if you don't want to concede those sales, you don't have to.
All right.
And again, you wouldn't be conceding them. You would just be redirecting them all through that one child ASIN. I don't think you would concede the 10 extra sales. But if you want to keep traffic going to both child ASINs, you can absolutely do that.
Okay, Lure VIP has the next question here. When mining the STR, customer search terms go into the scale ad group as exact, and the keyword that gave the customer search term also goes into the scale ad group when it's in its existing match type. Unless it's driving high sales, then it goes into a single ad group. If the keyword does go into the scale and then you shut it down from shop, does that mean that eventually you won't have any keywords left in shop, or am I missing a step?
Yeah, your shop keywords. Well, there's a few things that happen with shop. You're absolutely right. Your campaigns will start to kind of filter where the majority, nothing will happen in shop, but some keywords won't do enough that they leave shop. Some won't hit to your sales thresholds. So your shop is more of a shell to see how people shop. And as you learn how they shop, the keywords go into scale. And some keywords will make it into scale and some will not. And then more importantly, though, as you mine new keywords on these variations here, like I've shown in the keyword research doc, when you're here and I find someone looks for high-waisted skinny jeans, that would be a new modifier for me that I might go back to a tool like Helium 10 and put high-waisted skinny jeans or high-waisted jeans into my search. And I might add new kind of modified keywords into shop and test them again. So I use shop to test keywords that I don't have any data on. So for example, on the keyword bandana, a keyword that could be mined would be handkerchief. It's a really good example of like, okay, so I had all my bandana keywords segmented. Then after running traffic, I realized that a lot of people were searching for handkerchiefs and converting to sales, right? I'm not going to guess if handkerchief works. I'm just going to see if it works in my search term report. And if I see that handkerchief is actually converting for me as a bidded keyword, then I'm going to go ahead and start testing handkerchief. So I might go look for some relevant variations of that in a keyword tool and test them in shop. So yeah, your old shop stuff will be mined out. You're absolutely right. And the majority of your sales are going to come out of your single phrase groups, your single groups, you're going to maximize the traffic, right? Broad gives you some traffic, but your new structure is going to give you 10 times more traffic. So yeah, you're going to be maximizing the traffic on everything you test and shop and browse. Some keywords like in browse, here's another great example. Some keywords like in browse, they just never really, they can't really survive, or they're just not going to get moved. So if they do get moved, yes, you'll start to see them get far more traffic, and the majority of your campaigns are going to tip towards single groups and scale as you start to grow.
Okay, and then just a couple quick questions here. How many keywords do you end up with in Shop at a steady state?
One more time, how many keywords?
How many keywords do you end up with in Shop in a steady state? I think they're wondering, at any given time around how many keywords should they have in Shop as they're moving everything around?
There's no set amount. It depends on how many modifiers your product has, how many keywords are working for your product, and how many modifiers there are. I mean, I would suggest your starting keyword groups. If you're just testing data, I would be around 10 to 15 keywords. You could test 20 to 25 keywords if you want to be more aggressive. If you want to be conservative, I'm saying 10 to 15 keywords. If you want to be aggressive, I would say getting up into 20, 25. But either way, you can only pick the keywords that are relevant, that are actually available for your product. So it's going to vary product by product. Some products don't have a lot of modified keywords, and some products have tons.
Okay. Is the bid on scale higher than the bid on Shop?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. And then when we were talking about Rob's question, he just had a little follow-up here that I saw.
And also, please keep this one in mind. I have to clarify on that one. On that question, is the bid scale higher than the bid on Shop? Yes. But just know that it may not look like that until you get your scale keywords. You're bidding for rank a little bit, right? So you have your highest volume scale keywords, and you're checking to make sure the ads are ranked at the top of search. So you could be like increasing your scale bid incrementally across the whole group until you see a lot of good keywords ranking at the top of search. So yes, your scale group will be higher than Shop, but it also is going to kind of fluctuate as you continue to increase the bids to get rank on those particular keywords.
Awesome. And then Rob wanted to know, when we were talking about the child variations with the 20 sales versus the 10, is that strategy that you went over true even if they're in different campaigns?
Say that one more time.
Is the strategy that you went over true even if they're in different campaigns?
If what's in different campaigns? One more time.
He's talking about the 2 child variations. So I'll just go back to his original question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I have several ASINs that are child variations. The top seller is within target ACoS and has 20 sales per day. The second place is also within target ACoS but has 10 sales per day. You talked about why pausing and losing traffic and whether they would need to do that. And then the strategy you went over, they just want to know if that's true within different campaigns as well.
Well, they would only be in different campaigns if you have, if you're following like the structure that I've outlined and you have unique keywords. You wouldn't shut those down, right? So if you have your like, say we're going back to towels, and you have your gray towels in their own campaign, because gray towels is a gray towel image, right? People want gray towels, so you need to show them your gray towels. And then you have blue towels in their own campaign. And then you have white towels in their own campaign. And then you have your best seller against the kind of good keywords like towels, right? Bath towels, right? Those are just your best seller. So if you have campaigns set up with unique keywords, then of course everything is relevant and everything applies, because you can't get someone searching for a gray towel without showing them a gray image. And you can't get someone searching for a blue one without showing them a blue image. But when you come to the general towel keyword, you want to show them your best seller, because you're competing against your competitors and they're fierce, and you got to make sure you perform to get rank and to get low CPCs. So your cost and your rank is going to be dependent on how well that product sells. Click to sell, click to sale. So if you're doing a broader keyword, like towels or bath towels, you better bet that your best selling keyword should be there, and your best selling product should be on that keyword, because you will be competing. And if you are not selling better on that keyword, you will be paying more for that keyword CPC wise, and you will be ranking lower for that keyword. performance wise. So if you want to win rank and you want to get low cost, you need the best seller on the broad keywords. Now, if you have different campaigns set up to capture different variations, we talked about that in terms of caffeinated versus decaffeinated coffee. We talk about it versus colors, very unique kind of images and product descriptions. If you're talking about that, well, then all things are created equal and everything is running as its own campaign.
Okay. Patricia and Orlando are asking, can I consider product colors or product sizes acceptable modifiers to test through the shop ad group?
Yes, your product sizes and modifiers. Yes, but you're going to need to match up your product ads to tackle those, like we just discussed. So you need a separate ad group for every unique variation. So, and it can only work if there's significant volume, right? So if there's significant search volume, it's going to work really well for you. But you do want to be sure that you're separating that stuff out, because if you're saying they're coming in looking for a variation that has a different image qualifier, then you got to make sure the ads actually match up, keyword to image. And same with with size though, they're going to most likely self-select. I've seen very few products that the size image is indicative of anything. You know what I mean? Like, so size is one of those things you select the best selling size and then they'll self-select on the product page for the size they want to buy. I've yet to see, at least in my experience, a product image that indicates a different size. If you do have a product though, that the size images are like, okay, someone looking for a large needs to see this large image. Someone looking for a small needs to see this small. If that is relevant, then you need to segment those into ad groups.
Right. And Andrea has a little feedback in it. It's just a general question, just class related. So thank you for all your geniusness. I listen every week and I've been anxiously awaiting your new step-by-step guides. And I have to ask when they will be available. Really need the details to fix my campaign. Do we have any idea when those are going to be available?
Yeah, we have new guides that are just, oh my gosh, they're so close. Like I should have some release this afternoon. We have so many guides in the works. It's just a matter of getting through our live sessions and the Q&As and and just all the different kind of stuff that we have to compile to bring to these classes. But yes, we have 2 guides that are just super close to being done and should be delivered today.
Okay, awesome. And so the strategies and everything that you went over today, this is kind of a general question. It says, how does all of this work in AMS, or as it's called, advertising console? So I think they're talking about Amazon's AMS. So how does this work in AMS? It does not have ad groups because you don't have ad groups in AMS. Is this specifically for sponsored products?
Yeah, this is a sponsored showdown. So we're focused on sponsored products and headline search in sponsored products. So your AMS strategy, your headline search structure is identical in AMS. There's no difference. The only difference in AMS is you could do product display, which is ASIN targeting, specific ASINs built by brand. So you could do a lot more segmenting on your kind of competitive strategy in AMS. But in terms of your search strategy, sponsored products and AMS are identical. Headline search is headline search and sponsored is sponsored, and they are the exact same platforms and the exact same tactics, whether you do it in Seller Central or AMS.
All right. And next question here from Carolina. Hi, Carolina. I have a high group bid, almost at max CPA. Some keywords with good modifiers have no impressions yet because the ones with the higher traffic are getting them all. Do I raise the bid at the keyword level because I want to see how they perform?
Well, you'll probably need to slow down. It's not going to be too damaging. It would depend. Like if those keywords are not getting impressions, it's probably more indicative that the keywords aren't getting impressions, and maybe less indicative that the other ones, if you have a good uncapped budget, you shouldn't have that problem, and you may need to rethink your browse and shop segments. So if you feel like some of those keywords are really eating up the general traffic, you should probably remove those down to browse with a lower bid so that you can see what happens in shop with the more focused keywords. But a lot of the times, good keywords that don't get impressions just simply aren't searched for a lot. That is part of the thing on Amazon. People do kind of search fairly broad, the majority, and then of course they go down from there. But sometimes keywords just don't get impressions. But I would definitely maybe rethinking about your browse and shop segments versus trying to manage them at the keyword level so early.
Okay. If we have a winner and we move it to scale, Do we always bid for rank so that no other competitors will take that number one position for that keyword? And if we keep raising the bid, eventually we're going to reach our max CPA. What do we do?
Well, you shouldn't have to adjust your bids too aggressively. Like once you rank in that position, as long as you hold steady, you shouldn't have a competitor move you very frequently. I mean, like, again, if you have a good bid starting out and you've bid for rank and you're selling in that position, you have an uncapped budget, uncapped bid, it's fairly rare that your spot's going to switch out. Normally, especially if you are the best seller there. At the end of the day, those top spots go to the best sellers. So, you may have to concede position one if your product cannot sell who is in position one. You have to outsell the competition. That is the winning metric. So as long as you're outselling, though, you should stay in that position without having to do a ton of bidding. Maybe in the early days, as you start to win that position, you may need to bid a little more aggressively, right? Just to kind of hold it. But once you hold it, your bidding strategy shouldn't have to be altered too dramatically on keywords with good sales velocity.
Okay. And are you going to be going over what to do with all these strategies if they have a new product and they don't have any ad data yet?
Yeah, that's what we talked about already in this class. So they just have to they go through the keyword research guide, and they're going to start with phase 1, brand, browse, shop. And all those keywords are available in your keyword research tools because you don't have any data to start with. So that's why we talked about the phase strategy. So phase 1 is going to be where you start out with some simple framework of brand and shop and browse. And then from there, you'll get your search term report at 30 days, and you could start to do more with scale and single ad groups. So without question, you're going to end up, phase 1 applies to anyone with a new product without data.
Here. Can you please repeat the 80-20 logic to get to the single keyword ad group for keywords after scale?
Yeah. So essentially, once the keyword's in scale, and once it's starting to drive a lot of sales, it's just go ahead and calculate total orders. So in this row, I have 767 orders. I'm over in column M. 568, 547, 384, 183, and then it starts to kind of taper off into the hundreds, and it tapes off into the 70s, and it goes down into the 40s. So the only ones that are really in the delivering 80% of sales are at the top of the list, and those would be the ones I would segment into singles. So they need to be delivering about 80% of the total sales. So you can total up all your orders and then go look at the top and see like kind of where the highest ones are. But you should have a kind of distinct threshold in terms of impressions and orders that show you which keywords are actually driving significant volume in sales. And then you just move those into singles.
All right. And we've kind of gone over, your general idea of there's no set number of keywords for things. Sandra was just asking, how many keywords in each group should you have before you start bidding for rank?
Well, I mean, it's all about the keywords and how important they are to your product. I mean, you definitely want to be ranking on those, modified keywords that describe it exactly. It's all about how many keywords came out of the keyword tools and how many were relevant without stacking and overlapping. So, like I said, normally you should have a good solid 10 to 15 keywords as a starting place set to different match types. And then you can, some products have more, but, you can start with 10 to 15 and various match types and have a really good start.
Okay. Just a quick one. Do you know if the HSA 50 character count includes spaces?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It does include spaces?
It does. Yes. It does include spaces. It's 50 characters total, punctuation and spaces.
Okay. Awesome. Info's asking about headline search. Since the headline search requires 3 ASINs in an ad, how do you handle it if your top performing keywords only apply to 1 ASIN? The other 2 ASINs in the headline search ad wouldn't be related to the keyword.
Well, it's going to make it a weaker ad. You know what I mean? I would be more likely to put multiple child ASINs from one parent ASIN if I had that scenario, if I could. But remember that in the headline search banner, the only image that'll really be featured is going to be the main product image, right? Because I don't use a logo image on my headline logo spot. I use a product image like most people do. So your product image will be featured at the front in the image spot, and then it'll be featured again as the first product. But but that is tricky if you're putting up a banner with images that aren't related to the search. You can test it, but it may or may not perform. But if you have child ASINs, if you have child variations, colors, sizes of that, then I would put those up so that you can have them all be really relevant.
Great. Let's see here. When you started your campaign, it shows an ACOS of 140 in the scale group or when I started my campaign, I'm sorry. When I started my campaign, I'm showing an ACOS of 140 in the scale group in 4 days. Should this be a red flag for them? What should they do in this situation?
Yeah, that keyword isn't going to work at scale. That keyword can't be bid for rank, and you need to get that bid adjusted. If all the keywords in your group are kind of going crazy like that, you may have a conversion issue, right? I mean, you really could. But if it's not a conversion issue, then you can like lower your bids across the entire group. Just depends on if all your keywords are not performing, there's definitely an issue there with conversion. You're going to want to either lower the bid across the whole group or get the keyword out of there and lower the bid at a keyword level.
All right. Say our testing budget is $30 a day max. Do we have to change anything in the strategy to make this as effective as possible?
One more time.
So they're using the example, their testing budget is $30 a day. That's the max that they can spend a day on testing keywords.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to change anything in the strategy to make this as effective as possible?
Bid on less keywords because you won't be able to get a lot of traction for that budget. And that's another thing to talk about budgets. I had a few budget questions coming through there. So when you're talking about budget, when I say uncapped, I mean that I'm not going to spend that budget. The only way to win in search is to not spend that budget, right? So you're not trying to spend your budget. So you need to bid on keywords that are going to come in at less than like, so if you put a $30 a day budget, that's a tricky budget because you're on Amazon.com. I mean, the amount of search volume on Amazon is significant. So that's a tricky place to advertise because the volume demand, this isn't about your product or your market. This is just Amazon as a platform. By choosing Amazon as a distribution platform, you've chosen a very big market with a lot of search demand. So it's not really that you're doing anything in the sense of how to manipulate it. It's more or less there's so much traffic on Amazon to buy that you kind of have to have a budget to accommodate that traffic. And the idea with the traffic, when I say a $500 a day budget, you should be breaking even. You should be optimizing your campaigns. And you're pretty much saying that you're going to break even on that. You're going to see total sales growth. You're going to break even on all ad spend. And you're investing that money to get sales history. So you're not spending the $500 above and beyond your other expenses. It's actually a profit center for you in the sense that it's driving velocity and history and establishing your search presence. So you should be able to do it at break even as long as you get all of the keywords right and you get the structure right.
All right. Once you have a campaign running, how do you keep your first position all the time?
You should. If you have the right sales performance, it'll hold steady. If you've bid aggressively and you're holding with good sales history, that your position shouldn't fluctuate once you've secured it and held it for a little bit.
All right. This one says, I set up a scale ad group with 50 keywords and I bid $1.63 at the ad group level. Then I decided to increase the bid to $1.73, but only about half of the keywords updated to $1.73 and the rest stayed at $1.63. Have you seen this glitch in Amazon before? What do you do in this situation? Should I start the ad group over or should I call Amazon and ask them to fix it?
I've never seen that glitch. I would go back in and try to edit your keyword level bids. I've never seen that glitch. And just make sure you have significant sales data on those keywords. Make sure you have at least 2+ orders on all those keywords if you've added them to scale, and it should be fine. But yeah, I've never seen that glitch before. And I think if you go back to the keyword and try to edit the bid at the keyword level and set all the bids the same, it should work. And regarding one last time for the 80-20 principle, it's just a formula. So take all your orders and divide them by what are 80%. So say you have 100 orders total Well, 80 orders are your 80%, right? 80% would be 80 orders of 100. And then whatever keywords are driving 80 orders or within that vicinity, those 80% would be the ones that go into singles. They just need to be high volume keywords that have a high likelihood to get a lot of search traffic and a lot of variations. So, at the top of this, the keywords at the top of the list, when you sort your orders highest to lowest, it's the ones that get a lot of traffic and a lot of sales, just the very top ones. Pick the top 3 to 5, so sort your sales highest to lowest, orders highest to lowest. Make sure that you have a lot of data, like I have here on orders. And then, because singles are designed for data, so you don't have to launch your singles in the beginning. Obviously, you don't even have to launch them at phase 2. Make sure you get enough data in terms of how many orders you're getting, and then just move them into singles.
Okay. In your campaign structure example, there were no phrase match keywords in your shop campaign. Do you ever use phrase match in your shop campaigns?
Yeah, I use all different keyword types in all my campaigns. You know what I mean? If I'm taking a search term out of this report, I'm going to put it as exact match. That's how it's mined. But no, I use, when I'm testing keywords in shop and browse, I use broad phrase and exact. I cover that in my keyword research guide and also in our keyword research class and campaign structure. But I definitely use I use all different types of match types depending on what kind of data I'm looking at in Helium 10. Probably the guide is the best place to look at that.
Okay. Going back to just the last question from before, talking about changing bids, Dream Session's asking, once you touch the keyword bid at the keyword level, doesn't that make it impossible to edit the keyword bid at the ad group level afterwards?
Well, what you're going to find right now in the new interface is you have to, if you're working in the new interface and adding things to the campaign manager, you're going to find that you kind of, in the old interface, it was true. Like you would have no keyword level bid, you just have an ad group level bid. But when I say, at this point with the way the new interface is structured, when I say an ad group level bid, I simply mean that every keyword in that ad group has the same bid. That you're not trying to kind of control the traffic. You're not using the strategy of, kind of bidding randomly on different keywords in that scale group. Instead, you're putting them all for bid for rank because they have a lot of orders, right? So you've segmented that group based on orders, and you're going to go ahead and set the same bid across all keywords. So then you will want to go in and edit keyword level bids with the new interface because it's not the same as the old interface. But then when I say an ad group level bid, I mean just decide what's going to be the bid for rank, bid in that ad group, and you can apply it to all keywords.
All right. Do you ever use negative exact match to prevent the bad or low performing search terms to show up on the other keywords at broad match?
I don't. I just use single. Like my negatives are structured in single groups. Let me see if I can find one. There. I just use negative phrase.
Okay. When analyzing the STR, so the search term report, what do we do with the keywords that have no ACoS because they have no sales?
You just don't do anything with those. There's nothing to analyze. I mean, unless they have 0, 0, 0. I mean, I guess the main thing about that is if you have 10 clicks and 0 sales, you need to delete that keyword. You need to pause, not delete, but pause that keyword. Anything anything with 0 orders or 1 order, you can delete from the search term report after you've done the optimization to get rid of the stuff that's not working. But you're not going to use anything with 0 and 1 orders to make your, you're looking for the new search terms in the report. You're not really looking to kind of, look at the overall data. You're trying to get the idea of how the search terms are performing. But if you're looking at that, if you have 10 clicks and 0 sales, you should go ahead and pause that keyword. And if you have 1 sale and a high ACoS, you should pause that keyword.
All right. And just to clarify for Kalia, we get the search term report directly from Amazon. It is within the Amazon Campaign Manager, correct, Sheree? That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from a third party.
Yes.
Okay. She thought that one time you'd said you didn't get it from Amazon, but I know
No.
that.
We get it straight from, we download it and just get it from there. And when you see 7-day, that's just the attribution window. So what that means is they're showing you all sales, like from click to sale. They give their buyers, because people add stuff to cart. There's all kinds of crazy stuff people do on Amazon time-wise. So they give the buyer a 7-day attribution window. So even if you pulled a report for a 60-day date range, your 7-day columns just simply reflect that everything in that column is within 7 days of the traffic that you purchased. So the customer bought within 7 days of clicking. The customer bought within 7 days of those impressions, 7 days of those clicks. So that's why when you see 7-day attribution, the columns will be labeled 7-day, but that just simply is the period of time that Amazon is attributing the sales. Again, giving that window from click to sale. But the report is based on the date range that you set.
Right. Excuse me. Hi, talking about target ACoS. How do you set target ACoS? For example, if your break-even ACoS is 50% and you have one of your main keywords in scale that is running at an ACoS of 48%, what do you do?
Well, 48% doesn't seem terrible. Like we talked about ACoS thresholds earlier. One more time on that one, Melissa, because there was 2 numbers there I had to write down.
Oh, it says, talking about target ACoS, how do you set target ACoS? For example, if your break-even ACoS is at 50% and you have one of your main keywords in scale ad group that is running at an ACoS of 48%, what do you do?
Nothing. If your target ACoS is 50%, then it's doing really well.
Great. Verify after them. Let's see here. Most of my keywords are at high ACoS. What do I do?
Just lower your bids. You're just not going to be able to bid for rank. I mean, with your current conversion rates. So if a lot of keywords are coming in at high ACoS, then you would need to kind of work with a listing specialist or some kind of listing optimization specialist. They work on, I would say if your listing's not converting, the first thing to look at is ad copy. Working with someone that optimizes ad copy is really good. And working with someone, obviously, I know image optimization is another key thing that clients do. But I would say ad copy is first and foremost. So I would say if all keywords are coming in at high ACoS, you will need to lower your bids across the ad groups, because that's going to be the best that you can do, to make sure that everything is at break even. And then I would start to optimize the listing before I was more aggressive on my bidding.
Okay. Peggy says, I currently don't have any brand keywords that I rank for. Do I put all keywords that I find relevant with a brand name?
Your brand keywords are your brand. So whatever your product brand is, that's what your brand keywords are. Like if I'm selling Levi's jeans, then Levi's are my brand keywords. So Levi's jeans, Levi's women's, just the product I'm selling and my own brand are my brand keywords. So you should rank, your product should rank for all your brand keywords. And then if it doesn't rank, you can advertise on it and it will rank then.
So some quick ones. I'm blown away by a $500 starting budget. How large of a seller do you have to be to have that be a reasonable budget amount?
Well, on Amazon.com, I mean, it is Amazon.com. It is the biggest shopping engine ever built. So there's a lot of traffic on it. It's not as if the budgets aren't set based on my strategy. They're set based on that you're in the largest distribution channel on the internet, and it requires a budget to buy the traffic. You're going to break even on the traffic, so it's not coming out of your pocket. So any product on Amazon, I think even a starting product, when you get into Amazon, you're trying to rank on the keywords, and the budget is simply based on how often that keyword is searched, right? It's not based on any kind of predetermined metric in our world. Like we're not sitting back saying, how much money should we spend? It's more like how many clicks will these keywords get on this massive search engine? On this search engine that is 65% of all shopping queries in the world start there. So how many keywords, how many clicks, how many shoppers, how many buyers? It's significant. So that budget is based on just the volume of Amazon itself. It's not something that is going to come out of any one unique strategy. It's more or less anytime you're doing search marketing, you're always going to be looking at the potential volume of the keyword and adjusting your budget based on that. So your budget is based on search demand and how many shoppers are looking for that keyword, so that you can purchase and acquire customers at scale. I think that comes back a little bit to robbing the train. With Amazon, there's so many shoppers, and even in the best categories, you're converting thousands of orders a day, thousands and consistently. So it's just so big, on all categories. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's like everything is on Amazon. It's the everything store. So all the categories get a lot of volume, and that's where the budget comes in at. So your budget is just based on the keywords that you're buying and what kind of search demand they're going to get. And you're simply trying to say, I'm going to put this budget down because you're going to convert that many sales. I guess when I say, how would that budget be set? I would say, well, most people that I'm familiar with that have products on Amazon are selling so much product so successfully that their budgets aren't really impacted. You know what I mean? Like they're selling, like my best client does 1.2 million a month in profit, not sales. 1.2 million a month in profit. Right? That's after ad spend. So that's not sales. So yeah, like the budget is just it's kind of relational to the demand and the sales potential of that engine. So it's not that the budget is there for you as much as like that's the potential of Amazon. So if you're going to buy sales, that's a really, a solid budget to think about in terms of how much things are shopped on the shopping engine. So in some ways it may seem super intimidating, but in other ways it's really showing the opportunity of what's there. So you can lower your budget though to wherever you're comfortable. Just know that if you're trying to rank and you're trying to be competitive, you'll have to tell the algorithm that you can afford all the keyword searches that day in your category. So if you chose a category and you look at a keyword and it's searched a couple 100,000 times a day, you have to tell the algorithm that you can buy those clicks. So that's really what the budget's designed for, to kind of get yourself in front of all those shoppers and show the algorithm that you can advertise with the competition based on that keyword demand.
Okay. And following up on when we're talking about target ACoS, are you saying that the target ACoS should be their break-even ACoS?
Their target ACoS should be everything we reviewed previously, which is, they need to be solid on their cost of goods sold, all Amazon fees included. They need to know what their target CPA is and what their target ACoS is based on the selling price, and just based on what they're selling and what their cost of goods sold is. Like what percentage of that sale price can they afford to spend on paid traffic and break even?
All right. When you're mining your keywords, how do you know if the keyword is a new keyword? How do you keep track of it?
Because it's you can just see it's in the search term report. What the nice thing about Amazon, it's like if you've previously put a keyword in the scale group, it just doesn't add it again. So if you have unique search terms, there's no harm in just taking all the unique terms, setting them as exact match, putting them in the campaign in the ad group scale, and if it's already there, Amazon's not going to put it again. So there's no harm in just loading it up if it's already in there.
All right. If there's a competitor in position 1 who's outselling me by 10 times, is it worth it to try to get the number 1 spot, or should we just concede the spot and aim for number 2?
Yes, you would need to concede. If you've gone ahead and give me that one more time, Melissa, so I could see how far they've gone with their ranking.
Oh, yeah. It says there's a competitor at position 1 who outsells us by 10 times. Is it worth it to get the number 1 spot, or should we concede and aim for spot 2?
No, I would just say aim for spot 2. If you know that competitor is outselling you by 10, and I don't know if that's click to sale. Like, I don't know if you've tested by ranking your ad. But if you have a competitor that sells that well and you don't feel like you can sell as much as that competitor, then you really do have to factor in, you can't just buy the spots. You have to sell the spots too to get the ad rank formula right. You've got to sell and bid. So you can't just bid and win on bids alone. So if you don't feel like you can sell there, then I would just concede to at least top a search. You're still going to get the most sales possible, and just concede that is the category leader and you're going to take the number 2 or 3 position. And when it comes to, in terms of the budget, one more time, like, yeah, if you're just testing, you can determine whatever test budget you're comfortable with. It could be $10 a day. It could be 20, it could be 50. Just know that with those low budgets, you won't be able to rank effectively. So as long as your budget is low, unfortunately, the way algorithms work, it's unlikely with a low budget. So it's almost like the second you have a low budget, you kind of take yourself out of the equation, but then you equation to rank, top of search. But that doesn't mean you don't need to build sales history, right? I mean, so if you're doing advertising, you need to build sales history. There's no other way for you to show the Amazon algorithm how these keywords convert for you. So you do need to show the algorithm in clear terms how these keywords convert. So even if you're only getting a little bit of traffic on your targeted keywords at break even and you don't have a big budget, it's better than doing nothing, because if you stay without any sales history, the product will never get traction. So it's important that you build sales history, but if you're trying to actually drive sales with advertising, your goal is to kind of rank higher on the search results page to get more sales and more velocity. And to accomplish that, the first thing you have to do is open up that budget. But again, there's nothing wrong with keeping a low budget and incremental bids. Just know that your strategy at that point is just to build sales history for what you can afford to pay. And it's going to work perfectly. But I can't come to class and say those low budgets are going to allow you to rank effectively and be competitive. So since my strategy is a competitive strategy, because part of the biggest obstacle in Amazon is getting through that competition. So since I'm teaching competitive strategy, I'm super transparent that the algorithm is looking for budget. They're looking to make sure you can take those top spots and win them and hold them all day. So if you're bidding for a competitive strategy, you really are going to need to have a pretty open budget to maximize. But if you're just testing your keywords to see how they perform and how your product converts and build some history, you can set your daily budget wherever you're comfortable.
All right. Over time, as you build sales history, the click-to-sale ratio reduces quickly. What is the risk that we pause and overlook a productive keyword early? Is there any way to keep track of these?
It depends on those ACoS thresholds that I covered earlier, which is why I covered them. It depends on where the keyword's at. If it's close to your target ACoS, you are going to want to track that and do things with it. But a lot of keywords early on just aren't in your target ACoS, and you can just forego those and let them be. If they're too far above target ACoS, they're not super valuable.
All right. And so this one is a variance between types. You might want to take notes on this one. A variance between types of the match types within the search term mining. Okay, so reading this one for Robert. When mining search terms, I often have different click-to-sale ratios for the same exact search term depending on the match type. The example is the search term is skinny jeans, and at skinny jeans broad, it has a click-to-sale ratio at 3.4.
That's nice.
But at skinny jeans exact, it has a click-to-sale ratio of 7.87. I know the buyer entered the exact same search term, but there is a variance. How do you handle this?
Well, because the broad, in terms of your click to sale ratio, it could be just different variations. Like, again, the broad and exact, that's the one thing with Amazon. There's no science to the Amazon broad exact match formula. It's not Google. You know what I mean? So, I have found, like I've said in previous classes, I have found that there's not a significant difference in terms of broad and phrase and how they necessarily perform across all keywords. Like, there's no conclusive, like broad always does this and phrase always does this and exact always does this, where in Google, because it's a text-based engine, it was a little more structured like that, where you almost always got better conversions on exact match. And because you put new variables in for broad and phrase, letting people search different ways, they didn't convert as high. But Amazon's not like that, because people buy things so randomly on Amazon, right? So not random, but the queries are they're more shopping queries, so they're like looser. So I have never found any conclusive data between broad and exact, and in terms of like across all keywords and all products, one is better than the other. I've never found that. I have found that across all campaigns that you get more variations out of broad and phrase. And I have found that exact usually delivers a lot of orders. But at the same time, for performance metrics, I think it's kind of a wash. And you just have to see keyword by keyword, product by product, which one works. So in this instance, if you have your exact match, you aren't going to be able to exactly determine, what's happening there, but you can pick the variation that works best for you and you can run that keyword. And as long as you're ranked at the top of search for that keyword, you're going to see significant gains.
All right. If we're looking at the STR and we make the decision to pause a keyword that has 10 clicks and 0 sales, doesn't that mean that we might accidentally pause a keyword that has plenty of sales under other search terms?
No, that lost me. Say it one more time.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's just some confusion in reading the search term report. If we're looking at the search term report and make the decision to pause a keyword that has 10 clicks and 0 sales, doesn't that mean we might accidentally pause a keyword that has plenty of sales under another search term though? Since each row of the spreadsheet shows just one search term within that keyword.
Yeah, I've never seen that kind of variance. And I know that I've had questions like that before. If you have a unique product with that kind of variance, then you would probably want to be pausing your keywords in the campaign manager, right? So that's another thing to really keep in mind. When I'm talking about pausing keywords, every time I teach it in class, I'm talking about pausing keywords in the campaign manager, right? So you would be sorting your high ACOS keywords to analyze those in your search term report. But when I make decisions at a keyword level, I'm normally seeing it plain as day in the campaign manager and making decisions from there. So again, you could use the search term report that way. And if your keywords are very targeted, I've never found that there's some massive variance like that where, there's these certain search terms that are just, I guess, it depends on your product and how it's searched. So if you have a lot of variance, then I would be managing keywords in the campaign manager and using the search term report just simply to pull your new data, just to pull your new search terms and new variations and getting those in every 30 days.
All right. When you say 10 to 15% above target ACOS, do you mean if our ACOS is 30%, that above the target ACOS would be 33 to 35 or 40 to 45?
Those strict add those numbers. So you're 40 to 45. So that's a good question. No, not multiplying percentages, but if you're looking at the percentage points, think 10 to 15 points above it, right? So yes, if your target is 30 and your keyword's coming in at 40 to 45, that's what I'm meaning there. Or if your target's 30 and your keyword's coming in at 60, that's going to be like 50, right? So I'm talking about points. So really good question.
All right. And another target ACOS question, this one applies to auto campaigns. So target ACOS goals, do you recommend applying the same optimized pause tiers for auto campaigns? For example, if 25 to 50% above ACOS, you would lower the bids or pause an auto campaign until it's within 10% of ACOS.
Well, auto, the only metric you have to manage auto is your bid. There's nothing else except for your ads. The kind of products that you advertise in there, definitely getting your best sellers in auto is going to give you the best chance, right? You got to put a best seller in auto because it's your only chance to make it work. So outside of putting in the best selling product and then optimizing your bids in auto, you don't have any way to optimize cost because cost optimization really happens at the keyword level. Your bidding structure is kind of ad group based and sometimes keyword based. But all of your cost metrics are really, based on keywords. So if you're trying to get really, kind of structured bidding and structured kind of ranking. So in auto, you don't have that. The best way to control your auto campaigns, if they're really crazy, is to add negative keywords. Like you see the negative phrase here, definitely add a strong negative, get through your auto reports, look at the keywords that are driving sales off your search term report or not driving sales, but driving traffic, and put a lot of negative phrase match keywords across your auto in at the campaign level. Negative phrase match, a huge list. Stay focused on negatives for auto, stay focused on lower bidding, and stay focused on best selling products. Those are the only levers you can pull to make auto work is your negatives, the best selling product, and going ahead and lowering your bids. But if you have those ACOS targets in auto, you need to definitely be adding the negatives first and foremost and lowering the bids.
All right. So when you look at the performance in the ad manager 2 or 3 times a week, current sales might not be included. How many days back do you quote ignore when you set your filters? Do you ignore 2, 3, 4 days ago? Where is that current data?
In the filter, one more time.
So when you're looking at performance in the ad manager, two
Yeah.
or 3 times a week they're looking.
Yes.
The current sales might not be included. There's that delay. It's
That 5
usually
days.
A couple days delay.
Yes.
5 days. Okay, that's the question. How many days back do you ignore when you're setting your filter?
I always set my filter for the previous 30 days going back 5 days. So I'm always coming in and saying, okay, what was happening over 30 days? And I try to set that 5 days previous to that day. So if I'm looking at data in my campaigns today, I'm going back to say September 5th, maybe September 6th. And then I'm going 30 days back from that date. And then I'm going to look at 90 days, right? So I change my date ranges as I'm looking. So we're going to cover a lot more of that kind of specific date range. And in the optimization modules, we have 4 weeks of that. But when I get in there, you can look at the best way to do it just broad is 30 days. If you want to go more granular, anything less than 30 days is not a ton of data unless you're in those crazy ACoS thresholds, which just are never going to balance out. But if you're in a moderate ACoS threshold, you really need to be looking at 30 days worth of data to get a good range, 5 days back. And then you can also look at 60 days, you can look at 90 days, and then you can look at lifetime. But the most indicative reports of how that keyword is performing for you are the more current ones because it represents the market as it is today, current competition and current bids. All that stuff fluctuates. So I would say looking at a 30-day report and a 90-day report are really going to be all you need to make good decisions on those keywords.
All right. What do we do with our campaigns if we have to fix a conversion problem? Do we pause them?
Well, you can lower your bids because if you're not converting competitively, then you're going to want to lower those bids into a place where they're at least break even ACoS, and then figure out a strategy to optimize your conversions. And then when you're doing that, the nice thing about paid traffic is you'll have to retest. The nice thing about paid traffic is if it shows you have a conversion problem, you would have that conversion problem always. So even if you try to rank organically on Amazon, if you have a conversion problem, you won't rank. If you have Amazon as a sales engine that looks at so many different variables, but the first thing you have to do is sell. And so because it's, they're getting their percentages of the sales and the algorithm is optimized for sales. So, and optimized for shopper feedback, and they take that feedback based on sales. So when you're doing that, the good thing about advertising is it allows you to make those changes and test them against the keywords are relevant so you can see where you make improvements, because there would be nothing worse than you leaving an ad up to rank or a product up to rank organically that has a conversion issue, because it will struggle, and there's a good chance it won't come out the gate strong if that issue isn't addressed early on, because that's such an important metric for Amazon performance. So it's great that you're seeing it now, and I would lower your bids to break even, and I would start to optimize for conversion, just knowing that your keywords are very targeted. If you're doing that, focus on the most targeted keywords. You don't need to even focus on browse, stay focused on shop, and make sure that the most targeted keywords are converting to sales before you continue to try to scale.
All right. Ryan Sheldon, this must be his first question. I didn't recognize his username, so I think it's the first one we've got from him. So welcome to class, Ryan.
Yeah.
How do you determine what we think our ad spend per keyword per day will be? That way we can know what to put for the uncapped bid.
That's such a good question. I wish I could give you a specific number on that, because Amazon's got so many impressions going on that it's really tricky to calculate that, because even if a keyword only has so much search volume, because of all the different places the ads show, you can get more impressions. I think the best thing to do is to I would do it this way, because you want to know, not guess. I would definitely say that you have some thresholds for search volume. I would say something with, say, 35,000 or less searches is probably something fairly moderate. I would say anything with more than 100,000 searches is going to get a significant amount of traffic and need some spend. But if I were you, I would get those keywords in, or get very minimally, get your keywords into a campaign, and I would test. I would go ahead and I would test an open budget, and I would see how much you spend in a day and how it performs for you. So don't plan on spending your budget over, the whole budget over like 30 days. Instead, give yourself a budget for a single day and uncap it and watch it very closely so that you can start to estimate what that keyword's going to cost you. And then you can make some decisions on how to treat it. But I don't know that there's any way to guess on that. You can calculate it just kind of based on those thresholds, like we talk about, like really high volume keywords are going to have a more substantial budget. And like I pointed out at the beginning here, I think most keywords can be tested at $500 a day, most products, without exceeding that budget. But I think that you'll want to do some testing. If you have a lower budget, then again, my suggestion is that you just set the budget that you're comfortable with and get that sales history and start to learn how much the CPCs are and kind of learn what it looks like to advertise on that product, but more importantly, to build that history, because you have to build it to rank organically.
Yeah. Okay. In my browse campaign, do I use all three match types, broad, phrase, and exact for each keyword? And what bid should I use based on Amazon's suggested bid range for each keyword?
Say that again.
In my browse campaign, I think you probably mean ad group, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So in my browse ad group, do I use all three match types, broad, phrase, exact, this example, broad, phrase, and exact for each keyword? And what bid should I use based on Amazon's suggested bid range for each keyword?
Okay, so you will not, if you're just doing browse, that means you're testing and your first goal is to rank. So you're not going to set a keyword level bid because you don't know what you can pay for that keyword. You don't know what the actual CPC is until you've run that keyword for 30 days and you have a report. So when you're guessing, you're going in with a brand new keyword, setting a keyword level bid doesn't make sense because you don't know. You don't know what the actual CPC is when we look at our numbers here, right? No matter what I'm bidding, my CPCs vary. Look at column I. So I've got a $2.15, a $1.90, a $1.41, a 47 cents, a $3, right? The bids vary. So your CPCs are going to be so various based on your sales performance that your bid is really set in the beginning across all match types the same to see which ones perform and which ones will rank. And then after you rank and see what the actual CPC is, you can start to add keyword level bids. But setting a keyword level bid without performance data, because the reason you bid is based on your sales conversions, right? Bidding is simply based on what you can afford for that keyword on your product. So when you're bidding, the only way to make a educated bid guess or educated bid number is to know what you can pay. So when you're starting out, putting a keyword level bid's a waste of time because you have no idea what you can pay because you don't know what it costs you and you don't know how you're going to sell. So my suggestion is when you're starting in browse and shop, which are phase 1 test groups, you just set a bid above Amazon's suggested bid for all match types. And if you're going to be conservative, start with broad and exact. Right? Start with broad and exact. You want to look at your keyword research guide that I've provided in the members area to kind of determine how you set match types, because it depends a lot on, is there more volume at broad, more volume at exact? You get that actual Amazon data now out of tools like Helium 10. So pick your match type based on the data. Go ahead and set your match types. Go ahead and put the match types in there. And like we were talking about earlier, there's no conclusive data regarding what's going to work better for your product, broad or exact. So you can test both. And you definitely want to use the same bid across the whole ad group until you start getting back data like this in this search term report to make decisions on the keyword bids would be based on performance. You would have numbers in front of you to look at. So it really is a strategy based on performance numbers. That's how you determine.
Okay. For your scaled keywords, do you try to bid for top of search or just high enough to beat most of the competitors?
It depends. If you have a new product, and again, the majority, if you have a product that has strong sales history and you're in a competitive market, you should push. You should push for top. You should push for the first spot because you're going to get more visibility in mobile, more visibility across the whole engine, and you're going to get better sales conversions without question. So if you have a competitive product with a lot of sales history and strong organic rank, you should be pushing for the number one spot. If you have a newer product without enough sales history to win that spot, you just need to get to the top of search and start to kind of overcome those competitors in phases. But you are going to have to do it incrementally with a product with zero sales history. But you do want to get to top of search. You do want to see on your most important keywords, you want to see your product at the top of the search results. Because that's the only way that you can know for certain what the cost per click is and how good your product is performing on those keywords. Like we talk about conversion issues. You don't even know you have them until you get to the very top of the Amazon search results for a keyword. And for some reason, it doesn't back out. At that point, then people are looking for that product specifically and they didn't purchase on your page. What do you need to do differently? And never discount the number of reviews you have or the review strategy, like we've talked about in all the other classes. I have found through testing campaigns that the review strategy is a key part of it. How you deal with those reviews is so important. The number of reviews you have will really highly impact your conversion rates.
Please clarify, is the scale ad group level bid your max CPA? Should those be equal?
I don't, it's not, I don't bid based on my max CPA. I bid based on how much I have to increase my bid incrementally to rank my ads in the number one spot. So I'm literally going and looking as I increase my bids. It's all market demand. It's all based on, I wonder if they're up here. Hold on, guys. I don't know where those went. There they are. I'm literally pushing my bids to get ranked. So I'm manually putting in my keywords and then checking to see when I'm ranked, and I'm increasing my bid until I start to move up to the top of search. So with that, I don't set my max bid. I set my max bid about 60 cents above Amazon's suggested bid to start, but then I keep increasing incrementally until I get to top of search. Because again, my max bid does not reflect my max CPC. So my average CPC is normally about 30% lower than my bid. Just like my budgets, you guys saw my budgets. My budgets are really high, but my spend is only in the hundreds of dollars. So I might put a budget of $1,000 or $1,200 a day, but I only spend $300 a day. Again, when I talk about uncapped bids and budgets, I'm not going to spend that money. I'm just setting that there's a threshold to come out competitively in the marketplace.
Okay. When we use the phrase match type, does the algorithm consider only variations with additional words before and after the keyword, or does it also include the exact match of the keyword?
Well, I think if you really want to hit the exact match, I would put it as an exact match too. But phrase is going to definitely include everything before and after. And phrase is going to be your loosest. In other platforms, I found that broad is normally the loosest match type, but I found in Amazon that phrase is the loosest. So phrase of all the three match types is probably your loosest, but gets you the most traffic in a lot of instances, a lot of variations, a lot of keyword discovery. So I would say that if you want that phrase to show up as exact, you should bid on it as exact. I wouldn't leave that up to chance. If I'm using phrase match, it's because I assume that keyword is going to get a lot of keywords before and after it, a lot of different word combinations. So I'm going to put phrase in. And if I want it to be hitting exact as well, I'm going to bid on exact too.
Okay. I will run out of inventory today. My campaign is a mess and I will have to reorganize it. Should I continue advertising? I do have the number one sponsored placement on mobile.
Nice. Well, it's good that you've done that. But if you're running out of inventory, it's kind of the worst of two evils. You can pause the campaigns if you see fit and reorganize them. Might be a good time to do that. If you're going to run out of inventory, this would be a great week to restructure your campaigns if they're a mess. Because messy campaigns, messy results. So I would definitely restructure while you're out of inventory. So I would probably pause and rebuild. I would do it in a sheet and get it reorganized and then put it back together. But it doesn't really matter whether you pause or leave those ads enabled when you're out of inventory. I haven't found that there's any pro or con to it in my personal experience. with the exception of you reorganizing because you got to pause.
Okay. If customers search for a product, but the product could be called 4 different keywords, do I put them into 4 separate campaigns and ad groups? Please advise.
No. If you have different keywords, it depends on where they're at in the shopping funnel. If they're broad keywords and they're kind of general keywords, you can put those in browse. And if they're really targeted keywords that specifically define the product, going back again, my browse keyword would be women's jeans and my shop keyword would be skinny jeans. So depending on where your keywords kind of land between the browse and shop, I would go based on that. So again, you don't definitely want them in different campaigns. You want your best selling product, best, child ASIN variation inside one campaign with your keywords segmented based on their conversion potential.
Okay. This one says, I'm doing everything you're saying, but I'm still not breaking even. Why? My page is very much like the best seller. I don't think it's a conversion issue.
Do you need to raise your prices? Do you have the margin to pay the current prices for advertising? That could be another. I mean, there's only so many obstacles, in pay-per-click. I mean, you either need to look at the cost or you got to look at the conversion or relevance. So it's either those keywords, maybe you have keywords in your campaigns that aren't highly relevant. So they're taking more clicks to convert a sale. Maybe your market has a high CPC on some of those keywords. And then over time, if you're not breaking even, I would just imagine you should just lower your bids and see where you can get to break even. Your first shot out the gate should be to take the category or the market. That's really what ads are for. And with Amazon, ads have 2 purposes. You can use it to take market share, or you can use it to build sales history. So both are important. And so if you've tested taking rank and you've tested being competitive, you say your pages are like your competitors, but your competitors they're doing a strategy that's aggressive, you're saying, because they're in advertising at the top of the page, which they're rolling that out. So they could have different metrics than you. Maybe, again, I would look at pricing, I would look at conversion. But more importantly, I would just reduce your bids across the whole campaign to make it work and break even. Either way, you're going to do better by doing the strategy you've done, by pushing that sales history and that velocity. Now, when you concede some of those bids, you're still going to rank better than you would if you were coming in cold without any traffic. So now that you've got this history, if you slowly kind of turn down the bids, you're going to position where you can to break even. And that's the best thing to do at that point, is just to concede on the bid, not aggressively, just kind of lower your ad group level bids until you're at break even.
Okay. After deploying a single keyword phrase match and broad match, bidding for rank, at 30 days, broad is getting close to 0 impressions, but phrase is performing. The path forward, path forward with the broad match should be single keywords.
Well, that's great. We've talked about that before. Like, that's always the case with singles. One variation is going to outperform the other. Sometimes you hit gold and both variations will do it, but normally you have one variation that is, far a far winner above the others. So if in this instance it's broad, you can go ahead and shut down the phrase group and just let the broad scale.
Do you negative phrase competitor names within all other ad groups except the competitor ad group?
Not if it converts for me. I mean, if a competitor's name is shown to not convert for me, then I put it negative in all of my campaigns. But if I'm trying to rank on that competitor's pages and it's part of my strategic initiative in terms of, going into the competitive placement strategy for the 80%, I don't negative it anywhere in my account, because I'll take an ad on their page anywhere Amazon dishes it out. The only time I'm going to use a competitor's brand name is a single word. So if this instance it was Lee Jeans, it'd be Lee. The only time I'm going to use a competitive single word negative is if that competitor has shown in my search term reports to not convert for me or to cost me wasted ad dollars.
All right. See here. So several products in the acne category have several keywords that they share, but there is a different indication or use. Examples are toners versus cleansers versus scrubs. Can you use all these in different campaigns and have them share similar keywords and have the other keywords that are just characteristic for that particular ASIN? The question is, how do you structure this?
Well, go back again. It's toners and scrubs. What's the third one?
Cleansers.
Cleansers. Okay. So those would be three separate
all used for acne. Yeah, they're all used for acne, but maybe their product isn't one of those.
Yeah. So wait a minute. Maybe their product's not one of those. Say it again then. Read the question again.
Okay. So several products in the acne category have several keywords that they share, but there is a different indication or use, like toners versus cleansers versus scrubs. Can you use all these in different campaigns and have them share similar keywords and have other keywords that are just characteristic for that particular ASIN? So the question is, how do you structure this? To me, it sounds like overlapping keywords, overlapping acne keywords.
Yeah, but my question is not that. My question is, are you advertising a toner, a scrub, and a cleanser? Or you have one acne product and then you should only use the keywords that describe the type of application you have. So if you have, you can use broad acne terms on any of those products. So if someone's looking for acne, they're still going to have a preference. Some people are going to buy a toner, some are going to buy a cleanser, some are going to buy a scrub. So you're going to lose clicks and sales. You're going to pay for clicks that don't convert the second you go into acne without adding that modifier of the type of product they want. So you can go after acne, but unless you have some kind of a all-encompassing kit that just solves acne, like the Proactiv, the ones that have really won on those broad keywords are like packaged deals that solve the problem all inclusive. Now, if you have like an individual acne product, people will self-select to whether they want a cleanser, toner, or scrub. So you're going to pay ad clicks that will not convert on the ones that aren't relevant. So unless you're saying that you have a toner, a scrub, and a cleanser, right? So if you have a toner, a scrub, and a cleanser, then those would be separate campaigns, and you would use the keywords that are related to those products specifically. Now, I see what you mean. Like if you're saying these are on different child ASINs or parent ASINs, I apologize. So if you have toners, scrubs, and cleansers on parent ASINs, right? I assume they have their own page. At that point, you would need to use some of your broader acne terms to all those products. But I would pick the one that converts best because, like I said, on the broader terms, they're going to self-select. So how you structure that, I still am not clear. If you have all those products, just you want to do it as
Banner says he's advertising them all individually.
They're on individual parent ASINs, I assume.
He says yes, I am. But some keywords do share, and he has them on separate campaigns.
I think in that case, you'll have to decide on your keyword segments based on what performs for you. But I would definitely say that if you had a toner, scrub, and a cleanser, those would be their own campaigns because they're separate products, and they should have separate parent ASINs, I think, because they're completely different.
I think he was just curious about the overlapping between, so if he's got 3 different products, but he can use general acne terms through 3 different campaigns.
Yeah. That was kind of and he can use that. Some are going to perform though. Just know that you're going to find out pretty quickly which ones will convert on the general keywords. Maybe they all will, but you may find that more people prefer the cleanser. Just being someone that does traffic for a living, I'm going to assume people buy cleansers, people really buy toners. I'm going to assume when you get to the scrub, I don't know if the general acne searcher is looking for a scrub. You'll have to define those. You can run them across all though. Yes, for sure. And see which ones convert. They are different products and the keywords are going to be treated differently, because they're going to different pages.
Okay. This question from Kenny. Kenny's asking, I have one campaign with all my ASINs in it. They're all different products with only my brand name keywords in it with good ACOS. Should I move each ASIN out and into a brand ad group in that ASIN's campaign?
If you have a brand campaign, you can just keep it. It seems like it's working. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Andrew's asking about impressions.
I mean, if it's already built and running traffic, and it's for your brand and you've got all your brand keywords and the products segmented the way you want them, there's no reason to move your brand around, just keep it where you've got it.
Okay. Are impressions for a given sponsored ad bid dependent on all of the customer search term words being somewhere in your listing, either front or in back? Or will your broad keywords give impressions even if the customer's added modifier word is not a word in your listing? For example, women's jeans broad. If a customer typed in casual women's jeans, would your ad display even if the word casual was not in your listing?
Yeah, especially if it sells. I mean, that's how it's not saying that, let's go there. When you say, will your ad display, remember there's going to be top of search and there's other placements. So will your ad display? Yeah, it's going to display. Will it show at the top of search for a keyword that's not relevant? Probably not. But will it show other places? Yes, absolutely. Without question. So, I think as you're trying to put that together, like, yeah, so it doesn't have to be in your product listing to rank with the ads, but just know that if it's not in your product listing, depending on how it's searched, it could have a conversion issue because it's not in the listing. But no, you're not going to have trouble getting traffic to that keyword. It just may have trouble converting at a good profitability metric because the relevance would be down, and then you'd have a higher CPC. And then because it's not on the page, someone might not buy, which would decrease your conversion rate. So as long as the conversion rate holds steady, you can definitely get visibility on that keyword. Just you may not get it as high as you would like, both organically and top of search.
Can you clarify if a keyword is in 80% as a broad, do you then set up a single ad group just as a broad, or would you do phrase and exact as well?
I would do broad and phrase for the search term mining piece, and then I usually keep my exact match and scale. So if it were a keyword that was in broad, and I wanted to mine the different variations, I would have exact match and scale, and I would do broad and phrase as single and see which ones stick. Now, if I'm doing headline search, I keep all my singles single because in headline search, I don't have a scale group. I essentially group my keywords based on modifiers, like we talked about earlier, to make the ad copy relevant.
We are jamming through these, guys. We are doing awesome today.
I know. Such good questions.
Yeah, and the way they're coming in, I don't think we're going to have an issue getting to everybody.
That's awesome. These have been great questions for sure.
How do I calculate what? Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna have to reread that one in a minute. I'm gonna hop down to this one.
Oh my gosh. And you guys, thank you for the awesome feedback. Melissa, I'm sorry to talk about. Thank you guys for the awesome feedback. Shozer and Kenny and just all you guys, such great feedback. All you guys that are here every week, Dreamfish, such good questions, such good feedback, so much good stuff to take in. It's amazing. And Dreamfish, your questions are incredible. And I have it in my many long to-do list to send you an email and say your questions are awesome. But they're good questions and they're deep thinking questions. And sometimes we don't go that deep because we don't want everybody in the class to feel overwhelmed. But your questions are awesome. So the deeper questions, I appreciate those. And if you wonder why sometimes we don't go crazy deep in the strategy with all these, crazy variables and hacks and sorts and things we could do, it doesn't really benefit the whole group because it is that game of like simplify, right? So really these like high level tactics can get 80% of the job done. There's a lot more you can do. Of course, always there's more you could do in anything. But high level tactics here are just going to get you so much of the results. But your guys' questions are just amazing. And I'm always so appreciative when you come to class and spend this time with me.
Okay, so let me get in this one. With headline search, would you rather send traffic to a product page or to the brand shop front?
Always a product page. Now, it depends on the keywords, but I like the product page so much better. We've been testing traffic to the stores, and if you think about keyword-based traffic, you know what I mean? Like it depends on what the keyword is. So if you're coming into the browse place, it goes back to shopper intent, right? It's not really a formula. Okay, so you have your store. If you're going back to, like, say, women's jeans, let's go here. So say I'm advertising women's jeans. That's a really interesting keyword. Now, I already know that the majority of women are buying skinnies based on the data. I already know that by just doing the research. But let's just say I am just doing women's jeans as a broader keyword. At that point, my store would be very beneficial because it would have my boot cut and my skinny and my high waisted and my low rise, they'd all be in the same store page. So by bringing them to a general store page, they could self-select more of my ASINs, right? When you guys get to this problem of multiple child ASINs, multiple parent ASINs, like the acne solution, there's another one. So let's say you have your acne products and you have an Amazon store and you want to take your general acne keywords. So you put up your banner, you put up your cleanser, you put up your scrub, you put up your toner, and then you have a general keyword like acne cure or, acne solution. They're going to go to the store and then you're not going to bleed that traffic by a bounce. They're not going to pop back out because you don't have the cleanser, you don't have the scrub, you don't have what they want. Or in the women's jeans, I don't have the boot cut, I don't have the curvy, I don't have the ripped. So when you bring them to the store on a general keyword, the store can be very effective for you to let them self-select. So when you pay for that click, it can monetize. So it's an awesome strategy. Now that's one side of the funnel. Now the other side of the funnel is when they get into skinny jeans. There's no question you need to take them to a skinny jeans page. At that point, they've already self-selected and they want the shortest path from A to B. They don't want more information. They want less. I guarantee that. You guys are sitting in this class. Everybody wants less information and we're overloaded all the time. All of us, right? So no one is out there on Amazon searching thinking, give me more information. Just give me more. Give me, confuse me. Just show me a bunch of stuff. They're actually hoping that you will get them directly to what they search for. Thus, the reason they took the time to type it in. So if they put skinny jeans, you need to bring them to skinny jeans because they're already telling you, look, I don't want to see all the jeans. I want skinny. So the more targeted the keyword is, the more important it is they go to a product page. The more broad the keyword is, the more important that you could probably try to get them through your store so that they can find and self-select the page they want. So it depends on your product mix. It depends on the keywords you're targeting. Again, if I'm in my headline search campaigns and I'm doing women's jeans, I'm going to bring them to a store page. That could be very beneficial for the different styles. If I'm in skinny jeans, I'm going to bring them to a product page, even if it's headline search, right? So your headline search banners are very effective to bring general searches through the store. Stores are only effective at converting general searches or even general brand searches, but they're not nearly as effective as your best-selling product pages to convert keywords to sales.
Okay. How do you get two campaigns into one campaign with the different ad groups like you demonstrated?
One more time.
It says, this is what Liz is asking. How do you get two campaigns into one campaign with the different ad groups like you demonstrated?
Oh, you're saying you have two campaigns for the same product. You'll need to take your bulk download or your search term report, and you'll just want to look at all the data, you know what I mean, and start to kind of regroup everything. And you'll just want to kind of move things into the appropriate groups. And add the campaign that has the most sales history. Go ahead and add the right ad group structure and take your highest selling keywords. You may look like a lot, but when you get into the ad group, like you see, there's only so many keywords, driving the results. I think Gunnar pointed out earlier, like it's usually like 90-10. It's crazy. So normally 90% of your sales are coming out of these main keywords. Just get those in the right groups. Any keywords that have converted to orders over a lifetime of say 3+, get those moved into the main campaign in the right structure. I would build the new ad groups in the campaign with the best history, and I would just pretty much mine the keywords out of the second campaign that are actually lifetime converting to 3+ orders, and I would leave everything else right where it sits. You can go 2+ orders if you want to be really aggressive.
Okay. Denny is saying, in reference to your 80-20, in my case, it's more like 90-10. 90% of my sales are coming from one particular keyword phrase.
Mm-hmm.
When I structure my campaign, should it be a separate ad for broad and phrase match and then for exact match? Should it go into scale 3+ ad group, or should broad, phrase, and exact all live within the same ad?
Okay, I
And
like
as
broad and
you
phrase. I like broad and phrase as singles, and I like exact and scale. And let me give you the one instance that your exact would come out of scale is if you're in, okay, you have your scale bid, right? Your scale bid's like up there, like 682 for mine, right? You got a high bid because you got a bunch of long tail in there, right? You've got a lot of like these kind of mid tail, long tail keywords that are proven to convert to sales, 3+ orders in your report. So they're all in that scale group. So you have a high bid on those because they're jamming. Now, if you have one of those high velocity keywords, right, driving 90% of your orders, Devin had this too a few weeks ago. You have 90% of your orders coming in off of that keyword. It's highly likely that you might need to lower the bid slightly, but you don't want to mess up your scale group. So if the keyword can sustain the scale bid, I keep it as exact match and scale, and then I keep broad and phrase as single. If I have any keyword that drives a ton of sales but is problematic on the ACOS, just slightly problematic, like 10 to 15% above points, above my target, I like to move it into its own group because it's driving a lot of orders and I need to kind of cushion that bid. I can't be aggressive. I can't go slashing it in half. I can't go setting a max CPC. I have to kind of take it down by 10 cents, take it down by 10 cents. I have to kind of really baby that keyword to get a balancing point where I still get velocity in sales and don't kill my overall history, but keep that keyword profitable and break even. So that's like the other instance that does happen, fairly common, is you have a keyword in one of your scale groups that is high orders, but man, just it's struggling a little bit with ACOS. And at that point, you do have to kind of peel it out of the scale group so you could start to bid on it strategically on its own.
Okay, Christine's question is, my previous and current campaigns are not ideal. Is the best strategy to start over fresh by lowering the bid to 2 cents per keyword and then start fresh with a new phase 1 campaign?
I don't think you have to do the 2 cent thing. I think if you
We get that a lot, it seems like. A lot of people want to lower their bids to like 2 and 10 cents.
That might be someone else's strategy that they use that. It may be something people do. I can't advise on that because it's not something I use. But what I would do is download your search term report. Get the keywords. Again, you got to get back in there because I'm telling you, probably not that many keywords have driven that many sales. I bet when you really pull a search term report and you sort keywords, not search terms, keywords, not search terms, I guarantee that you probably only have a handful of keywords that are driving that machine if it's poorly structured. So if you get those keywords out of your reports, the keywords with the original match types and some of the search terms, as exact match. If you get all that out of your report over 60 days or even in a campaign manager lifetime, go ahead and do a lifetime sort and start to download those keywords. If you go ahead and pull that, you can do a bulk download over 60 days. There's a million ways to do it, but if you take the old beat up campaigns and you grab all the search terms and the keywords out of those, salvage your data. You've paid for it. Don't take it down to 2 cents. Salvage it. Figure out what's converting, what's not. It'll give you a better understanding of your shopper and your buyer. Get it resegmented into your highest converting campaign shell and pause all those messy ad groups.
Okay. Do you have anybody that you would suggest to hire to write the title and listing for Amazon, as you mentioned? They're looking for somebody to take over or to take a look at their page.
I'm not. There's a girl, I know that the girl that's like really cool in the space that we've connected in the past is Karen. I believe she has Marketing Words. I know she's a listing optimization expert. If I had to ask a question, I'd probably reach out to Karen. I really would. But I think you guys are going to find that information also in the inner circles of Amazing. I mean, you are in the community of Amazon sellers. This is a seller-based community with top sellers. So I know that the top sellers are in this community, and I know they're a part of this community because I talk to a million different people all the time. You've got Jason, Mike. Like, I feel like in this instance, I would reach back out to Amazing and back out to the mentors in Amazing because they have a huge network of Amazon professionals. But if you were going outside of that network, I would recommend you to Karen at Marketing Words if she's not booked. I know she's fairly busy.
Okay. Is it okay to use my competitor's ASIN as a keyword in my competitor's ad group?
Competitor's keyword. One more time.
Competitor's ASIN. Is it okay to use
No.
my competitor's ASIN as
No.
a keyword in my competitor's ad group?
No, it's useless. It's not going to do much for you. Just use those competitors' keywords. Take that ASIN to Amazon and see what the keywords are. What's the brand of that? What's the product name? What are some of the defining keywords for that particular page? You don't want to target the ASIN. You want to target the keywords that ASIN represents.
Okay, you keep saying that high ACoS on a relevant keyword could be a product listing page issue.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be the competition is international selling their products for half my pricing?
Well, that would be an issue.
Right.
Yeah, that would just be a whole different issue, right? I mean, that would be a pricing issue, or yeah, I mean, to have the same product being sold for less money would be a challenge because you wouldn't be able to differentiate and justify the higher price. You know what I mean? So yeah, that would be a problem. That would be a real problem with conversion in the sense that when someone shopped, which Amazon structures the entire engine for that shopping experience, when someone shops, they're going to start comparing and they're going to see, you know what I mean? What doesn't match here? They're going to start to see they can get the same product for less money. And that could be very problematic for your listing.
Okay, if we have an existing campaign that's been running for 2 years, should we treat the existing ad group as the buy ad group and then move successful keywords into shop or scale? Or how would you go about the cleanup effort for an existing campaign?
Yeah, we've talked about one more. Say, what's this particular structure though?
It just says we've had an existing campaign that's been running for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do we treat the existing ad group? It sounds like they only have one ad group. Do we treat the existing ad group as the buy ad group and then move the successful keywords into a shop and scale? Or how would you go about the cleanup effort for an existing campaign?
Well, they wouldn't go to shop because you have data on them. So anything you move out of that ad group that has data goes to scale. And anything that drives 80% of your orders plus goes into a single. So if you have the data over 2 years in a single ad group, really everything with 3+ orders could go into scale with a much higher bid if it's at your target ACoS. If it's not at your, if it's higher than your target ACoS or right at the threshold, it needs to stay where it's at, and that's a very good strategy. Go ahead and start to edit keyword level bids and call that buy. So that's a great strategy. Just peel out everything that's got 3+ sales with good ACoS and a little bit of room to grow on that, and moving on up into scale.
Okay. Would you use a headline search ad if your 3 products are, say, a silicone spatula, a mixing bowl, and a toaster, or are they not related enough? So kitchen department, but different products. And are these not related enough? And so would you put this ad in front of somebody who types in silicone spatula, even though 2 of the products aren't related?
Try it.
Headline search ad.
The only way you're going to know, at least it's category specific, right? They're in kitchen, so they're not going to be shocked to see some other utensils in your banner. It won't make you look off topic. So if it's a kitchen category, there's nothing wrong with showing images of other kitchen products. And then the spatula, of course, make sure that you, feature the spatula image, the biggest, clearest spatula image that you have, as your product image, right? So when you select the product image, make sure you're choosing not a logo, but the spatula image. And then as you move to the right, you're going to have the spatula image. Make sure that you put your keywords, have the word spatula in your copy at some point to make sure that you can kind of hook them based on the search, and then test it. You shouldn't lose too many conversions in something like kitchen, where it's kind of merchandising 101 to have a bunch of stuff on an end cap. Like if you're at a good department store and you'll walk by, like at Williams-Sonoma's, a kitchen store, for example, they're going to have a cookbook, and they're going to have the mixer, and they're going to have the spatula, and they're going to have, they probably wouldn't have a toaster though. I don't know if you get a toaster up with your mixer, but they are going to have a bunch of good stuff to make, cookies or whatever the display is. So in merchandising, it's not a strange occurrence to have related items in the same banner. Just make sure that you use your headline search image very well to the left, and don't use a logo there. Use an image of the spatula. Make sure that the keywords in the headline, detail the actual product, and then test it and see how it goes.
Just to clarify, when you're talking about getting them getting search term reports, you're talking about 60-day reports, correct? That's usually what we pull for them. I'm not sure how to.
Yeah, your 60. Any of the reports on Amazon, they're only going to give you 60 days. But Christine, what you can do is you can actually go into the campaign manager At this point, it's brand new in the new interface. You can go into your campaign manager. We just did this recently for our clients. Go into your campaign manager. You can do a lifetime sort. You can go into the ad group. And this would be especially great for the couple that has, I think it was a couple that has your 2-year. For the person who has the 2-year data on one ad group, is going to be a quick fix for you. Go straight into that ad group in the campaign manager, go up into the keyword view, and then go ahead and hit export. And that's going to bring all the keywords out of that ad group with data for the lifetime data. Sales, everything's going to be included, orders, revenue, ACOS. So it's going to be the very best way for you to see all the keywords. Now, it might be tricky if you have like 45 ad groups and 45 campaigns. I wouldn't suggest doing this. But if you only have a few ad groups with a lot of keywords in them, you could just go and clean those up very quickly by going into the campaign manager, setting the lifetime date range at lifetime, going into the campaign, going to the ad group, go to the keywords, hit export, and you're going to get all the keywords with lifetime data.
Okay, and I've got 2 questions left for you, Cherie. I think we're going to finish right on time.
Nice. Yeah, we do have to finish in 2 minutes, guys. So just go. I'll push through real quick on these so we can cap it, because Melissa really does. We have to cap this today at 2:45.
Yes. I put 2 of my highest selling keywords into single ad groups and paused them in the old ad group. And yet for the past 3 days, they haven't had any impression. What gives?
And what does give? I would up those bids. And, you've got him as broad and phrase. I would up those bids and give it a little bit of time. Did you paused him, right? That's what he said. He paused him in the old place?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Up those bids and see what's happening there. Just make sure you increase the bids until they rank. It may take a little bit of tipping. Or give them a little bit of time. If it's only been 3 days, but you should start to see some traction soon, at least impressions.
Okay. If we notice a certain ASIN is causing problems in our auto campaign, should we negative phrase that ASIN?
You can try, but I don't think it's very successful. You could do a negative phrase on that brand name. Do the negative phrase on that page. Go to that page ASIN and start to look at what brand it is and what product it is, and do some negatives, maybe a few single phrase negatives off of that page. It could be the type of product it is. It could be the kind of the brand of the product, the type of the product. There could be some kind of modifier on that product that you want to filter as a negative word. I'd be more effective to use the words than the ASIN.
Okay, and this is the last question. We've had a couple of people ask this question today. They're wondering if you've decided on using anybody for the examples for the last few weeks of class, where you're at with all of that, and what the plan is.
So right now, everybody's just filed. I got all of your responses. Thank you so much for offering. And I have a tidy file in my inbox that says campaign demos. And I just need to go through and kind of look at things and read through everything and make decisions on what's going to be best. I can tell you guys that in terms of the campaigns I select, I'll email everybody back a short answer when we get to that point. It won't be this week because we have so much content to cover between search and placement. So we won't be doing it this week. It'll kind of dive into next week. I'll start to really focus on what we'll demo. I can tell you that the only thing is that the campaign has to be beneficial for the whole group. So if I see instances that I think, man, I don't think the whole group is having this problem, or I don't think I can teach something that will serve everyone in class, that'll be the only filtering I'll be using. But as long as I think that the content is valuable for the group, that's really how I'm going to pick the demo campaigns without question. And then I'll go ahead and write you guys back as I get to that selection process. But right now I have everybody's email and they're all in one box in my inbox for me to start reviewing them.
Is it too late for them to still send anything into you, Cherie? Julie's wondering if she can still send hers in yet.
Yeah. So you could, no, it's not too late. Send it in.
Julie's is the project. I think Julie's is the one that's not launched yet. I think if I remember correctly.
Sure. I just sent it in and I could see how relevant it would be. That's just really what I'm looking at. When I looked at everything coming in, I thought, okay, how, where will these examples serve everybody in class? After the instructional content, where can people really learn something in these?
Okay, awesome. That was the last question I had queued up. So that's it. We got to everybody's stuff. Thursday, we'll see you guys Thursday for Q&A. And when you guys are submitting questions Thursday, there's some here that we're kind of losing topic just based on some word phrases and some errors within the wording of the question. So just make sure you're paying attention to what you're typing so that I can read it and understand it and we don't lose our way with it.
You guys have been awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Julie and Lure and Carolina and Dreamfish and all you guys for being here today. Rob was here today with some killer questions. So Rob is so Rob has one last question. I always crack up, you guys, whenever I see caps. Hey, Dreamfish, thank you. And I have your stuff. I saved your last questions, Dreamfish, because they're really good. They just aren't something that the whole group would want to do, but you can do it, and I'm going to email you. But going back into Rob, and I don't know when because I'm so buried with all the guides, but Rob, so you're saying, okay, let's talk about this really quick, guys. And Alyssa, you got to go. Rob is simply saying, so the 2 cent and the $1, 2 cent and 10 cent bid strategy is taught by others to basically turn off toxic keywords rather than pause. Well, if it's a toxic keyword, it's not going to help your sales history. There could have been a time, theoretically, with sales velocity being the big win in 2016, where turning off a keyword would ding your history. But a toxic keyword looks terrible for you on any level. Pause that bad boy. Pause it, right? If it requires a 2 cent bid, you can't convert it and somebody else can. And if you're showing the algorithm that you love to have crappy keywords in your campaign that don't convert to sales, it's terrible for your history, your winning history, keyword by keyword. Bottom line, you can't win that keyword if you don't sell on it. So just get that stuff out of there, kill it, move on, and get the stuff in there you could sell on. So I am personally not understanding the 2 cent strategy in today's algorithm, but I'm telling you, we could all wake up tomorrow and I'm like, oh my gosh, we need 2 cent bids. And I'll tell you, but until the algorithm changes, without question, sales history is built keyword by keyword out of the mouth of babes from Amazon. They have told me this firsthand on many conversations. So when you're building keyword history, what kind of sales history is it if it's toxic? It's dead, it's over, it's old, it goes in the trash heap, and move on to greener pastures. Everybody have a great day, and we will meet again on Thursday for more questions. Until next time.